Mayor Frank Jackson and the City of Cleveland are committed to keeping your neighborhood clean and green through the use of the city-issued trash and recycling carts. It's safe, convenient, and mandatory. For more information, contact the Cleveland Division of Waste Collection at 216-664-3717.
We're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start with first a welcome, and I was going to check with some of you who are recording. Is the sound all right? I'm getting thumbs up. All right, then we'll go ahead and make this official. So I'm going to start with a good morning and welcome for joining us today for an update on where the Cleveland 2016 Host Committee stands on our preparation for hosting the 2016 Republican National Convention. You may all recall that it was just a little over 1 year ago that Cleveland got selected to host the convention. And as we look forward 1 year out, we will be hosting more than 50,000 visitors and media to Cleveland. And the event will be July 18th through the 21st of 2016. So I'm happy today to be here on behalf of the co-chairs of the Republican National Host Committee, and also joining me are Mayor Frank Jackson, County Executive Armin Budish, Steve King, who is on the chairman of the Committee of Arrangements for the Republican National Convention, and Dave Gilbert, who is the president and CEO of the Host Committee for the convention. We all look forward to sharing our plans and about where we are in ensuring that Cleveland puts on the best Republican National Convention possible in our city here. The 2016 Host Committee is a nonprofit organization that was formed for the purpose of helping the city of Cleveland become the host for this convention. We have 5 employees and 4 co-chairs, and we have 5 very important roles that we are playing as a host committee. First and foremost is making sure that we have the resources necessary to fund the convention. Our second responsibility is ensuring that the amenities that are needed, such as hotel rooms and venues, are secured and available for the convention. We're also helping with providing the committee on arrangements with many of its needs, including office space, lodging, and transportation, both as they are here now planning for the convention and then as we get into next year in launching the convention. Another important role is the volunteers that will be coming forward from the city of Cleveland. We're helping in recruiting, managing, and assisting with the logistics of the many volunteers that will be needed and other logistical needs that will be part of the convention. And then we're going to be partnering with the city as well as other public and private entities to showcase Cleveland as the great city that we all know it to be, to live, to work, to visit, and to play. So we're making real progress on the fundraising front, so far mainly from local contributors and donors as well as state, and we are just now going into the phase of our fundraising where we're really going to start seeking broader national support for this convention. But our progress in part is due to what I call a foundational grant of $10 million from Jobs Ohio. So I'd like to make sure that I acknowledge that John Miner, who is the president and CEO of Jobs Ohio, was instrumental in making sure that we secured the initial funding with which we were able to put forward and be successful in securing the convention. But I'd also like to recognize the City of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. They too were instrumental in our fundraising efforts, both putting up $2.5 million in the early days to secure our bid. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our mayor, Frank Jackson, who has exhibited great leadership and resolve during this process, first in making sure that Cleveland was selected, and now in what I call the hard work of making sure that we are a great host in every way for the Republican National Convention. With that, Mayor Jackson.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Mooney. You know, ever since it was announced, I think it was, when was it, July 8th of last year, that we were selected, we've been working with our partners in order to ensure that we would put on a successful convention. Successful in terms of the Republicans coming here and not having a hiccup, but also successful in really promoting Cleveland and really putting Cleveland's best foot forward as we are viewed by the world. And we've, so the city of Cleveland, not only have we been on the host committee and we've been working with the host committee on all of its activity, there's certain things that we've done specifically and we'll continue to do as we lead up to having the convention. One of the things that we're doing is we have a committee, we call it the 2016 Special Events Committee, and that committee is specifically designed to ensure expedited and maybe in terms of permitting to make things happen in a way that is really smooth. So we want to make sure and ensure that as things are needed from government, as things are needed in terms of partnership with other external entities, that this special event committee will work and meet on a regular basis to ensure that things are streamlined and to ensure that things are going according to plan, so that when the major event happens in 2016, again, that is successful for both the party and for the city of Cleveland. The other committee that we have, which is really an internal committee to the host committee, is this accelerator committee that's co-chaired by Valerie McCall in my office and Joe Roman at the Greater Clean Partnership. Their function really is to look at all of the capital needs that we have out there, all the projects that are in progress, and ensure that these projects are completed on time. Accelerator, to accelerate these projects to ensure that they're completed on time. That everything from the airport and work that's being done out there to streetscaping, resurfacing project, issue 1 projects, so we can coordinate these things, beautification projects with RTA that looks at the rapid lines in the area around those rapid lines so that they have a pleasant appearance rather than dumping and graffiti. We're working with other people to ensure, example like Public Square, and those things are going to be completed on time. So that committee we're working with to ensure that all these projects will be completed on time, again, so that the party will have a great convention and we will present Cleveland in the greatest light that we can. And then finally, a major thing that the city is working on is the security grant. As you know, they're separate from the tens of millions of dollars that have to be raised by the host committee to put on the convention. We also have monies that we are anticipating coming from the federal government, up to $50 million in security grants. So there are meetings around that with the Secret Service, our police department, other suburban police departments, and I'll be going to DC tomorrow to talk to our delegation and the leadership in both the House and the Senate to talk about our need for not only us but Philadelphia on the Democratic Party side, but our need for us to receive the money, the $50 million, in order for us to put on the kind of security demands that will be required by this event. So again, I want to thank the host committee, the Republican National Committee, and the Committee on Arrangement, who we work with almost on a daily basis now to ensure success here. But we always have great partners, and one of those partners is Cuyahoga County. So I'd like to introduce the County Executive, Mr. Buttigieg, who will talk about the county.
Thank you, Mayor Jackson. It's a pleasure to be here with the mayor and the co-chair Beth Mooney and CEO David Gilbert, other members of the Cleveland 2016 Host Committee, and representatives of the Republican National Committee. 1 year is an important milestone to mark. We have just 1 year before we welcome 15,000 members of the media and thousands more convention delegates and visitors for one of the greatest opportunities to show off our city, our county, and our region to an audience second only to the Olympics. While we can't know who will be in and who will be out of the Republican field 12 months from now, one thing is sure, we will be ready here. Together with the team on this stage and so many more, we will be ready. And you can count on your county government to continue to be a strong partner as we together ensure the success of the convention and the safety of our residents and our visitors, while together we work to keep inconveniences to a minimum, and while together we ensure that our region capitalizes from the opportunity on the world stage that we'll have. Your county government has been part of the team that's done so much to get us to this point. We're surrounded by new or renovated hotel rooms, new to downtown, that our county helped to make happen. What you can't see from here are the thousands more hotel rooms secured for the convention that will be outside the city of Cleveland, from Beechwood to Westlake and all around town. My administration is working with the suburban mayors and managers to make sure that the roadways, railways, and even bike paths are safe and clean as they're added to our daily commute. Familiar neighborhoods are being programmed with special activities to share with our new visitors. And speaking of visitors, with the convention delegates come the Secret Service too. The county sheriff has been working with the Secret Service, the Cleveland Police, and other local police agencies to help formulate and implement the plan that will keep the conventioneers and all of our citizens safe. And Sheriff Pinckney is proud to be part of this important work. We do have one of our own projects that's important to complete in the next year, our new hotel. We're going to finish the construction of the hotel that you can see being built next to us. I'm pleased to report that despite some challenges, including the weather, the construction is on time and on budget. It'll be a great addition to our downtown hotel inventory. And of course, we have to finish construction of our new front door, Public Square. Just this May, in cooperation with the City of Cleveland and a variety of other partners, Cuyahoga County committed to make the necessary financing arrangements to guarantee the $30 million transformation of Public Square, also on time and on budget. Public Square will be transformed in time for the Republican National Convention. Its lasting purpose is to make it available for the public's enjoyment for years to come. The transformed green space and traffic flow will be another symbol of the region's transformation. From the public projects we see and enjoy to behind-the-scenes efforts of our safety services, county government's committed to working with this team to make sure our visitors enjoy their stay in Northeast Ohio, so much so that they want to come back again and again and bring their families and friends too. Thank you, and now I'd like to turn the podium over to David Gilbert, CEO of the host committee.
Thank you, County Executive, very much. And as was mentioned, a little over a year ago, we were awarded the convention, and I will tell you it has gone very quickly, and it has been not only a fast but an exciting year. And we've really transformed our community effort into one focused on trying to make sure we landed the convention for Cleveland to one to make sure that we prepare the best way we can. And as has been mentioned, the mayor mentioned the committee on arrangements. A lot of the staff is here. It's an organization, a subset of the Republican National Committee, and they've been phenomenal to work with. They have staff on the ground. We work with them every day, and this is really done hand in hand. It's their job to coordinate and run the convention, and it's our job to work with them to make sure that we are prepared as a community and provide to them everything that they need to make sure that the convention goes off flawlessly. Beth mentioned a number of different strategic initiatives that our host committee is involved in, and as we have planned this, we really have put together 10 different areas by which we have been meeting regularly to advance, and just want to really just give a highlight of a handful of those. One, as was mentioned, the fundraising, and I do want to mention this is such a tremendous effort to make sure that we as a community raise all of the money and the resources necessary that was promised in our bid to provide to the RNC to have the convention done. And we not only have our chairs with Beth Mooney here, but Chris Connor from Sherwin-Williams, Sandy Cutler from Eaton Corporation, Chris Kelly from Jones Day. We have our fundraising chairs, Bill Summers, the former chair of McDonald and Company, Ron Weinberg from Weinberg Capital, Jim Haslam, the founder and chairman of Pilot Corporation, who are all working with us day in and day out, week in and week out, to use their Rolodexes and help us with our strategies and contacts, along with our state and national fundraisers, to make sure that we meet this goal. We are working on hotels and venues, on security and medical, transportation, our welcome events, our thank you events, as was mentioned by the mayor, the accelerator, our visitor experience and city beautification, our volunteers, our marketing communications, our community engagement. These are all critically important to make sure that the convention from our community goes off well. And what I think makes me very proud, I believe we're doing all this in what I really think is very much a Cleveland way. It's an incredibly cooperative and engaging way. In every one of these committees, we have organizations throughout the community that have volunteered their time to be at the table and give their expertise. We're hearing from the city and the county, but you have Downtown Cleveland Alliance, Greater Cleveland Partnership, Land Studio, Destination Cleveland, Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. You have local media. I'm looking around, so many different companies who volunteered their time and energy to make sure that we absolutely maximize this opportunity for our community. So with that, I want to just give you an update on a handful of issues, and before I turn over the podium to Steve King. First is hotels and where we are with that. We're proud to say that we're making tremendous progress, and as of today, we've secured with contracts or pending contracts nearly 12,000 hotel rooms. And that's up from about 8,000 in April. And I could tell you that on a weekly and almost daily basis, we're adding to that total, and we're getting close to being able to fill our obligation to the RNC for all of the hotels that they need for all of these guests that are coming to town. From a venue standpoint, we've secured signed contracts with 47 different venues. We've got about another pending contracts pending contracts with about a dozen additional venues. And I give so much credit to the venues in our community that have signed on to help make sure that they are filled with all of these. Estimates are over 1,000 different events that'll be held in our community during that week of the convention. And people have really stepped up. Our local business engagement. You know, one of the great benefits of hosting the Republican convention in our community is an estimated $200 to $250 million in spending. And while a lot of that money will be spent by the money we raise and spent by the Committee on Arrangements and spent on security, a majority of those dollars spent are from outside organizations and outside people who come into our community, and they have events, they spend money on different things they do. And while we can't guide where they spend, we feel it's our job to make it as easy and encouraging as possible to spend those dollars locally. So we developed a program that was kicked off just a few weeks ago to encourage local companies to go online, sign up, and create a database that the Committee on Arrangements is helping us to proliferate, so that people who are coming in town to hold events have the easiest and best access to local vendors to get done what they need to get done. And we've already, in those 3 weeks, had over 500 companies who've signed up through this portal, and that's continuing to grow every day. And again, we can't guarantee anybody in this community will get business, but we're going to encourage and make it easy for all of those dollars to be spent locally. And anybody can go on the website, which is 2016cle.com, to sign up for that. Volunteers. As was mentioned, volunteers is very important to this effort. It's estimated up to 8,000 volunteers will be utilized during the convention, either by the host committee or by the Committee on Arrangements. We feel we are in great shape, way ahead of the game in our planning, and actually already have over 1,700 volunteers signed up without really going out with any kind of campaign. So I think it really shows how much people in this community want to get involved, want to get active. Our marketing communications, very important for us. As was mentioned, we will expect over 15,000 credentialed media, more than any other event in the world outside of the Olympics, and it is up to us as a community to help try to maximize the impact of those folks coming to town. We know that they are coming here to report on the convention. That's why they're here. But we want to make their job easier to report on what's great about Cleveland, about Northeast Ohio, and about Ohio. So we have an extremely robust marketing communications effort that's been up and running for about 6 months, 6 different subcommittees, and really looking at how we maximize and make sure that we have the right information for the guests coming to town, so they have the information on our community they need, that we make easy and accessible information on our community to all of those media coming to town, trying to figure out how they best get that information, what are the stories we can tell, and how do we, again, try to maximize those stories that tell about our community. And very important, how do we best communicate to our own community? We want to make sure that locals can take best advantage of having this history being made in our town as possible. The message shouldn't be go run for the hills because there's a lot of people coming to town. It should be just the opposite. Come down and enjoy and take part in history being made in our community. And I think finally for us, it is about the community engagement. It is about how do we maximize that opportunity with welcome events, with events so the local community can come down and be a part of history being made in our city. I liken it a little bit to think of how many people came downtown during the NBA Finals who didn't have a ticket to get in the arena. They just wanted to be around and be part of history. So what can we do to encourage locals and let them see some of the exciting things that are going to be taking place? And I want to say with that communications effort, we're actually proud that today we have relaunched our new website, which is 2016cle.com, and it really is going to be a beautiful and robust one-stop shop for people to engage the local community to engage in the convention. So again, we will come back up afterward and take questions on any specifics, but very proud to bring up to the podium Steve King, who is the chairman of our great partner, the Committee on Arrangements. Steve?
Thank you, David. Mayor? I don't know what the fuss is. You'd think we were trying to put together a convention here in Cleveland that successfully launches the next leader of the free world. We are. It's a pleasure to be up here with the Cleveland Host Committee, obviously, and Mayor Jackson and the County Executive Budish to report on the progress so far with regard to putting together what we promise will be the best ever Republican presidential nominating convention right here in Cleveland. I can report that the host committee is making good, if not excellent, progress 1 year out from our convention launch. We support their efforts. As I've said on many occasions, we're kind of joined at the hips, if you will, with the host committee. And we applaud the leadership of the host committee and all the staff and their work up to this time. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank my co-chairman, Joanne Davidson, who is from Columbus, of course, and the former Speaker of the House here in Ohio, and Matt Borges, who's the chairman of the Ohio Republican Party, and the Cuyahoga County Chair, Rob Frost, as well as Eddie Crawford, and all the other community leaders who we've been working with to date and are helping us put together what is obviously going to be a good convention. One of the main reasons that we came here and chose Cleveland can be stated in one word: people. The hospitality, the energy, and the can-do attitude as embodied in people like your mayor, Valerie McCall, Dave Gilbert, John Penny, Diane Downing, and others at the host committee. They've been extremely supportive and frankly have confirmed why we made a good choice in coming to Cleveland. We're grateful for their efforts to make this a world-class event. You know, hosting a convention is a historic event. Some of you may know that in 1936, we Republicans held a presidential nominating convention here in Cleveland at Public Hall then. We're delighted to be back, and hopefully 80 years later, we're going to produce a better result than Alf Landon did against FDR. Hundreds of people have already visited Cleveland. They're looking at hotels, they're looking at venues, and as a run-up to the convention, Cleveland will be showcased next month when the Republican National Committee hosts its summer meeting here in conjunction with the first Republican presidential primary debate, the evening of Thursday, August 6th. So the viewers and the attendees to that debate will get their first preview of July of 2016 in just a matter of a couple weeks. But between now and July of 16, there's a lot of work to be done. Our current staff of about 10, I think it is, will actually grow to somewhere maybe close to 130 people by next spring. There's an enormous amount of work to be done, but I know the city of Cleveland is ready, as well as the host committee, to help us put on, again, the best convention ever. And we will, in fact, therefore, nominate and hopefully lead to the election of the next leader of the free world. Thank you. David?
So we thought now let's just open it up to questions for really anybody up here. And then I think after that, anybody up here will be available as well. Tom?
Just kind of getting down to specific bottom line hard numbers, can you quantify where we are on the fundraising gauge? Up 65 million being the objective, where are we?
So what we are responsible for is $64 million in cash and budget reducing in kind. We expected that to be about 90% cash, 10% value in kind. We're up to about $39 million raised in cash, plus a good plus a good part of the in kind, and we feel very good. We have a state fundraiser, a national fundraising team, and we feel we are very much on track to have the fundraising completed.
You mentioned the 12,000 secured hotels. What's the goal that you need to get to?
The goal is somewhere close to 16,000 hotel rooms. We are in process with many more than those 12,000. And again, our goal is that in the near future we're going to have secured everything that we need.
What has been the headache, or the road bump, if you will?
You know, I believe that one of the things that we've stressed all along, and this is beyond just hotels, this is we think a really good message about the convention in particular, is the benefit for this community is not just the dollars spent during that week of the convention, but it's about how this positions Cleveland for the future. And so hotels, along with many others, we have tried to make sure that they understand that this is not about, as Eden Mickelson, who was head of the site selection committee, said, this is not about making retirement money in 1 week. This is about, and so we have to make sure that the hotel blocks and even the rates are still reasonable enough that people will come here. But also, people will be doing very well that week, and so it's really striking that balance all along the way. We had a significant number of hotels who voluntarily signed letters of commitment when the bid went in, and there were a number of hotels, even a lot of ones that weren't built yet. So we didn't have letters of commitment because they weren't built. So it is really one by one, and one by one takes a while when you have 130, 140 or more hotels in the community, but. We're working very hard, and we're very pleased with the progress.
I imagine you'll have already talked about security, but do we know more about how the security perimeter might affect the downtown businesses?
Sure, Kevin, I'm going to refer to the mayor and Valerie on anything related to security. So,
It's pretty simple that the larger the security area, the more impact it will have. And Secret Service will be pretty much running things, and they'll designate what they believe to be adequate security areas. So the larger it is, the more of an impact it will have, because more and more buildings, people, business will be within the area. And if you're in the security area, of course, you have to be credentialed to get in it. So it hasn't been determined yet what the full impact is. Okay.
Is there an expectation, Mayor, that there will be an area reserved for protesters?
Well, I think that's part of what happens as you look at the security plan. You look at what you know will happen, and that will be having people who want to demonstrate for whatever reason. The question becomes, I guess, whether we get sued or not, is whether or not that space that is provided is adequate for them in terms of their voice being heard in what they believe adequate way. Oh, there's always space, yes. Mm-hmm.
Is it tough trying to strike that balance, though, between the security and creating that Cavs finals type of feel for everyone to come down and be a part of?
Well, it's always a challenge when you're talking about 50,000 people here who are part in some way directly or indirectly related to the convention, not to talk about the people, as Dan said, who we want to encourage to come downtown. But we've done things like this. I believe when we were on the conference, not this last time, but the time before, there were over 100,000 people in downtown Cleveland that night. So it's not as if we're not able to do it. The added tension here is the level of security. That becomes the added, because as mentioned, you potentially have the leader of the free world, and it'd be a major international event with a lot of people wanting to have their voice heard, either in the convention or through demonstrations. So it's the intensity and the magnitude of that, it just raises it. But that's part of the security plan, and why the Secret Service is pretty much will be in charge.
Mayor, do you have any sense when the Secret Service is going to finally get on the ground and become more engaged and get?
They're on.
Everything hinges on security.
Right. They're on the ground, and just like everything else, as it gets closer to the event, the more it will build up and the more intense it will be. So they're on the ground. There are discussions with, as the county, the city, with them around these things now.
But their leadership team is here?
Well, they've come in and out. I don't know exactly. I had to talk to public safety to see, if they're spending a week here or not. But the point is that they do come in and out. And we had a committee meeting, special events committee meeting, of which they were there about, 10 days ago? About 10 days ago, and they were there as part of that committee meeting to kind of collaborate and coordinate activities around the convention.
Dave, what type of build-up is there as far as technology goes? What type of challenges? 4G, Wi-Fi, stuff like that? Stuff you can bring in portable, or you have to have a big build-up?
I'll give a little bit of an answer if anybody else has anything on technology. There are significant technology needs, and the Committee on Arrangements and the host committee are working with a whole host of different providers on what needs to be done for the convention, how they support the convention. I can't tell you right now specifics, but I don't know if you guys want to speak at all. We know there are very specific needs for something this large. The COA has a whole team of people on the ground working on that. They know what those needs are, and I think preparing very well.
Well, all I can say is that somebody no less than AT&T has told us that this is a bigger media and IT event than the Quadrennial Olympics. So there's going to be a tremendous effort put into this. This will be probably the most covered convention ever from a data and IT standpoint. And we're talking to any number of providers at this point in time to help us accommodate that demand.
Has there been a decision made whether the media center is going to be located in the garage near the queue or in the convention center or some sort of hybrid?
No decision has been made yet. There have been a number of people continuing to take a look and figure out ultimately what is the best for the convention. I think we would say probably anticipate fairly soon, but no final decision yet.
Very soon.
Yes, very soon.
And that impacted security.
Yeah, and the mayor just mentioned that will also impact security. So you're right, lots of moving parts here for sure.
So that 200 to 250 million spend, does that include the 50 million in security and your 64 million?
Yes. So, and what we're basing it on is economic impact studies done by previous conventions. So even just if you look at a four-year difference, it may be quite frankly a little bit higher. But yes, it includes those dollars plus some, I guess, 9-figure amount that's spent additionally from lots of outside groups coming in. Okay, we'll do 2 more, and then we'll just open it up for afterward if anybody wants to speak to people individually. I guess John and then Tom.
One of the selling points was the fact that you had the complex with Progressive Field. Has it been determined how you might use Progressive Field and how long the Indians might need to be away during this process?
And I'll ask Steve to come up regarding any specifics on how Progressive Field will be used. We know that it is reserved for the time of the convention. The Indians have talked to Major League Baseball already about being off for the time of the convention, so that's already set. But I don't believe yet it has been determined exactly how it will be used, but it certainly is a great asset.
We will use Progressive Field, and I think we have an arrangement with the major leagues that the Indians will be out of town the week before the convention and the week of the convention. It's yet to be determined just how we use that. The options range from an opening event to a closing event to a number of events during the convention on the evenings in some of the nice suites and other accommodations that the field provides.
A hopeful what-if question. If the Cavs are in the NBA Finals last year, is that going to allow adequate time to get the queue ready for the convention? I guess a nice problem to have.
If you can promise me the Cavs will win the NBA championship in 2016 in 4 straight games, we're good.
Should we? Okay, so this will be the last one, and then we'll open it up. We probably could close on that one, I would tell you.
We will get it done, whether it goes 7 games or whatever. We'll get it done. It's going to be a rush, probably faster than we've ever had to do before, but I'm comforted by the fact that our folks tell us we will be ready for opening night, July 18th. Thanks.
So in this sort of hotbed of media attention, do you think that the committee will try to, divert or get away from diverted attention of maybe individuals or organizations to gain advantage of that heightened sense of media attention to try to keep the focus on the convention, or will you accept it as something, a natural occurrence?
Well, I think both the RNC and the COA's media folks and our folks will be working very closely, and this is what I would tell you. I believe a philosophy with major events. I think you have to prepare for what you know. Probably even more importantly, you have to prepare for the things that are going to happen that you don't know. The bigger the event, the more things will happen that you can't predict. But the better you prepare, whether it's media, operations, or other planning, the better you are. And I think I would just say, what's been great is, in our working with the COA, they are such experts. They have been through, many of the staff have been through many conventions. And so it's been great learning from them the kinds of things that could happen because they've been through it time and time again. So I feel very confident that the planning, whether it's with media, operations, or across the board, can work to make sure that small problems and small issues don't raise to big problems and big issues. So I think we'll end it there and appreciate it, and then anybody up here will be available for questions. So thank you all for coming very much.